Good morning. Denise Dryden out here on Bainbridge Island doing my weekly Sunday videos, and today I want to talk about sort of metaphysical simplicity and how it may be applicable to these times of ours where we're in this quarantine, right? So what I do is I usually put a bunch of bizarre topics together and blend them. So what I want to talk about today is, oh, wrong page, that's really fun. Simplicity, my background in simplicity, Generation Xers, intuition, let's see, even some homeopathic recommendations. And so we'll just sort of launch into it. So in the mid-90s, I started working with the voluntary simplicity movement, primarily based off of the book by Dwayne Elgin. And there was this huge movement that came out of Seattle, Washington. And I used to live in Bend and drive up and come work with some of the different writers and speakers. Phenomenal information about how to voluntarily downsize and go to what really matters. So the premise is basically to put consciousness and intention into the things that you do, so that every choice that you make is a choice that's made from either how you work, how you live, what's your relationship with money, what feeds your soul, what feeds your sense of belonging, and what connects you to nature. And so the idea is whatever's distracting you, it's okay to cut that out. And so, it seems like a really good idea to talk about this right now, especially when we're in this forced quarantine and we're home and we have a lot of extra time on our hands. So look around and look at what you've created so far. Look at your home, look at your body, look at your relationships. Look at the way that you're guiding yourself and then say, is this what I want to do? Is this where I want to go? Because we're in a reset right now where we get to determine what we want to do as we move forward, right? So what are you really noticing? Because some of us, there's maybe it's generational, maybe it's not. There's some of us that are going like, oh, I can breathe for the very first time. There's a stillness on the planet. Yeah, there's fear. Yeah, there's pain. I'm not diminishing what this economic, crunch is going to really look like for us. Yet underneath it, there seems to be this, like, at least for sensitives and empaths that I've been talking to, like a sense of breath, a sense of space for the first time. And there's also a lot of anxiety and overwhelm going on out there at the same time. So when we have anxiety is ways of looking at dissonance. It's when you're out of sync with something. It's when there's pressures from the outside that don't really match who you are and what you want to be, or there's dissonance between you and another person, you and your job. Too much noise, too much information coming in, and sort of what happens when it's hard to stay self-calm, when our energetic system is just reacting and humming, right? So overwhelm can come when there's too much information coming from the environment, coming from our emotions, coming from our senses, and we have way too much to process and we start to spin. So anxiety and overwhelm are really well connected, and pay attention. Has this increased for you, and in what areas? And has it decreased for you, and in what areas? So I found it interesting that the Gen Xers are the generation that are just thriving during this quarantine. And so this is the group that was born between 1965 and 1980. They're the latchkey kids, right? They're the ones whose parents divorced and left them at home. Mom went back to work. They're the kids that know how to fend for themselves. They know how to take care of themselves. And they're masters of how to self-soothe and how to occupy time. I think I read one meme that was like, give me a case of mac and cheese and a case of ramen and I've got this quarantine settled, right? Or handled. I thought that was pretty good. So Gen Xers, there's 65 million of you. You provide 82% of the workforce. You have school-age kids or college-age kids who are now home with you, by the way. Yep. And parents that are aging that need your care or need your time. Yet, you're the ones who took actions. You're the ones who stayed in and started implementing systems. You're the ones who set up homeschooling. You're the ones who decided how to work from home and how to make this work. And you're doing it. So you're providing this kick-ass leadership right now. And it's just like, go, you guys, go. All this training, all this angst, all this generational pain of being left behind from the baby boomers is now like paying off, and you're doing such a beautiful job showing us how to do this, right? So let's shift over for what it's like at home. What is it like for this generation of Gen Xers, or for the millennials, or for the baby boomers, for all of us? What is it really like to be at home? What parts of your day is working and what parts of your day isn't? How do you feel underneath all of this task of like, how am I supposed to homeschool my kid, keep my kid in front of the computer, turn the games off, turn the games on? What is it that I need? How am I feeling underneath all of this? And do you like this? That's really the question. Do you like this? Is there any part of you that really likes this? And if you do, now's the time to begin paying attention, like full on attention. Like, wait a minute, I kind of like this. I kind of like having my kids around me. I kind of like the fact that they're learning how to do school independently. I like the fact that I can work at home. I like the fact that there's quiet and there's space. So pay attention to what you're feeling, to what you notice, the nuances, how your body feels, how your heart feels, how your mind feels. And you have this beautiful opportunity to reset right now your life and to start steering it in the direction that you want to go. So the biggest guidance system that you're going to have during all of this is your intuition. How well do you listen to your intuition? Does it, like what happens when it's quiet and there isn't any distraction and you get to listen to yourself and you get to ground and center, right? Ground and center and really like feel. To trust what you're sensing and you're hearing, and trust what comes through your head and what you're feeling in your body and what you're experiencing. Because this is all beyond the physical world around you, right? It's just what else you can sort of sense and take in. And so what I'm going to invite you to do is to normalize this. Everything that's coming in and talking to you, normalize it like, yeah, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. This is how I'm organizing information. And make it real. Make it a part of you. Make it a part of how you make decisions. And make it a part of how you explore. Because where we really are right now is in this, I'm going to go back to astrology and talk about on January 12th, Saturn and Pluto came into conjunction in Capricorn. Now that may not mean anything to you, but what it means is that it hasn't done that for 500 years. And at that time, it opened up, it changed everything in the world, and it started the religious reform, which turned into the Renaissance. We just experienced that again. So we're in this period of tremendous change. And then Saturn is going into the system of Aquarius, where it hasn't been for 29 years. So think back, where were you 29 years ago? And Saturn is kind of this planet of reduction. It's sort of the father figure. It's like, did you really need that? It's sort of stern, but guides, right? And it's about obligation and order and structure. And Saturn comes along, Saturn's the one, like, let's sit down and have a conversation with how you're really doing. And it's in Aquarius. And Aquarius is this maverick, which think Generation Xers, right? It's genius. It's originality. It's invention. It's where our hopes and wishes are. And it's a visionary planet. So where we are in this month of Aries, where it kind of drops in, and these two, this Saturn goes into Aquarius, is that we're in a place where we get to create anything we want, because this is about how we create a new future, right? So right now, what is working? We're eating, we're sleeping, we're connecting to ourselves. We have space around us. Yes, we have worries, of course, but we also have this connection of listening to what's around us. And all of this is providing us information for how we want to move forward and how we want to re-enter when it's time. So this world of interaction, again, is going to start. And you get to decide, what do I want to create? What do I want to do with this when it's time for me to step forward? Do you want to work from home more often, permanently? Do you want to homeschool your kids and keep them with you? Do you want a smaller home, less financial pressure? That's a lot of the basic simplicity is, where do you put your money? Do you want more time for yourself to read, to explore, to breathe, to cook, to organize? Whatever it is that brings you joy. And do you want more time to access your intuition? because now is the time to set our intentions, right? This is when we want to set the intention for how we re-engage, because how we start up again is about how you want your body to feel, how you want your days to be, how you want to spend your attention. So this metaphysical awareness is that there's the physical in front of you, but what's underneath this? You know, what's the energy that you notice? What's really catching your attention? You know, are there certain things that are tapping you on the shoulder? Can you feel strong energy one way and flat energy another? So start to sort of follow that energy and find out what it's telling you. And then there's this basic care and feeding of the human body. So make sure that you're getting sleep, you're staying hydrated, that you're taking lots of antivirals, that you're eating good food and getting fresh air and creating less stress. And then part of the reason that I like to stand in front of my kitchen is that so much of what I do here are different support systems and spices and foods that I use to support my body. And so what I wanted to talk about today was that magnesium is one of the most important, and I use Calm. It's backwards because it's a mirror, but you can see this. You can get this at most grocery stores or drug stores. You can order it online right now. But magnesium is just, I take about 2 teaspoons, about a teaspoon and a half or 1 tablespoon, and I put it in a little bit of warm water and it foams up. So you just take, for me, it's mostly probably something about that big on the spoon, and I put it in a cup. And I add a little bit of hot water. And when I put the hot water in there, it foams up and it makes this enormous, fun, fuzzy sound. Because what it does is it breaks the magnesium up. And then I'll sip this at night, especially, maybe when I'm winding down for the evening. And so what it does is it relaxes the muscles. It reduces stress. It opens up the pineal gland, which is where our intuition is, right? It's where our sixth sense, our third eye, our chakra is, or third eye chakra. It expands us. It calms our energy system down into alignment with ourselves. And it's a really good daily practice. So whether you do one of these at night before you go to bed, or you put a little bit less of this in the morning in a smoothie, or you have one of these drinks, and you can even drink this cold, but put a little warm water in to dissolve it first, and then fill it up with cold water. But magnesium, it's just one of those magical minerals that our body needs a lot more of than we're even aware. And by doing a daily practice of this, it's what keeps me calm when things are stressful. So this is the kind of stuff I'm starting to do with metaphysical living. I hope you enjoy this, and I do videos every week. So come back and join me next Sunday and have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.